Hi guys, welcome to the Rush Poker video by Pimpin' Donks. This is 4 tables of Rush Poker cash games, and this is at the level of 200 no limit, which is currently the highest level that they offer on Full Tilt. I recorded this session of me playing. It's going to be a little over an hour, roughly about an hour 15 I believe, and the audio I'm doing afterwards, so I can give you as much information as I can. Here we have our first hand. There's a lot of action in this session. First hand on the upper left hand table, and I'm going to pause the video as if I need to talk about a hand a little bit longer. So here we have a late position raiser, and I decide to go for a 3-bet here, and he made it $7. I'm 3-betting up to 24 with 9-10 offsuit. So basically this is a bluff, and the reason I'm doing it is because he has a high attempt to steal percentage, and I think he's just gonna fold the majority of the time here. And when he does call, I have a hand that you know, if I hit a big flop, he won't really expect me to have a 9-10 offsuit here. So that's my reasoning there. And you can see in late position here I have a couple big aces, so I'm just going to make a standard raise. You can see my standard raise in this game is and here I'm going to pause it again. My standard raise is $5, and so 2.5x raise. The reason being, it saves you a little bit of money when you get 3-bet and have to fold. Alright, so on the upper left, let's go to that hand first. So we get 4-bets here, and you know, this guy has actually a pretty high 4-bet percentage. If you've seen some of my videos before, you may notice my HUD is slightly different. I've included a few more stats for cash games that come up, like fold to 3-bet percentage and also floating the flop percentage. But with the hand here, you know, so he has a high 4-bet percentage, and he knows that I'm probably going to 3-bet him a lot because he steals a lot. So he's going to counteract that strategy with 4-betting a lot. So I actually make a play here that I don't do a lot, but occasionally in this situation, you know, I think it's right. I actually just end up rebluffing him. And then on the bottom left here, you know, this is with an open ender. I'm just going to go ahead and probably c-bet here, and I do. And on the bottom right, I just call the very small 3-bet. So I end up jamming the 9-10 offsuit, and he ends up folding, and I win his 4-bet bluff there. Okay, and that's not a play I would recommend you make very often, but against the right player type, it can be profitable, as it was there. And that's why stats are so important when you're playing. Okay, and we end up chopping on the bottom left. So here with kings in the big blind, I'm just going to go ahead and 3-bet it, and since there's 3 other players in the hand, I want to make it a pretty big 3-bet to try and get a heads up. Kings aren't really a hand that you want to play multi-way pots with, so I prefer to play a heads up here, especially out of position. Okay, and with ace king, I'm just going to open my standard raise there. And you'll notice in this video I'm moving the mouse around and not actually clicking the buttons. I'm using hotkeys with Table Ninja, and also using actually an Xbox controller to make my plays. Now here, okay, a couple hands here. Alright, so bottom left, I'm just 3-betting again the late position raiser with a as a bluff again, who has a high attempt to steal. The player on the upper right table, he has a high 3-bet percentage, and my hand with ace king here is obviously a very strong hand, so I'm just going to go ahead and jam it in on him. So I think that's a pretty standard play against somebody who 3-bets a lot. Okay, and both of those work out, so I end up taking them both down. Okay, so when you are playing this rush poker, they only currently allow 4 tables of it, and you can play roughly about 1,000 hands an hour. As I mentioned, playing like this, um, it's important to maximize your earnings, that you fold your garbage hands as quickly as possible, so that you can make as much money per hour as you possibly can while playing this. And you know, these games are actually pretty weak. I think I think that if you put rush poker, the average player's skill level up against any other 1-2 no limit game out there in online poker, this would probably be like the weakest field. They're very profitable games for me, and I think I've noticed some sit and go players, uh, you know, some sit and go players switching over to this because they're making more per hour playing these, and you know, you might want to give it a shot. So here, a couple hands with the bottom right. I raised it up to isolate a limper, and now I'm just going to go ahead and bet here with my top pair. And on the bottom left, I have obviously the nut flush draw and a backdoor straight draw and overcards, so I'm definitely going to bet here as well. Okay, and he just calls, so you know, it's, you know, now I have an open ender and the nut flush draw, so I'm just going to continue betting and you know, put maximum pressure on my opponent, and you know, I have a lot of outs there, so I don't mind getting a fold though, because I did just have ace high. Okay, as you can see, I'm raising Jack 10 suited from early position just to mix up my play a little bit and keep my opponents guessing as to what I'm playing from all different types of positions. Okay, so I c-bet the king high board on the upper right hand table, and the opponent calls. It's not a great turn card. It doesn't really change much, so I'm just going to check and give up at that point. Okay, so we flop an open ender on the upper left hand table, so I'm just going to continuation bet it. Okay, so I'm raising the ace deuce suited from the small blind there. Get called again, so out of position. You know, it's a good board to c-bet, but this particular time I just chose to check and give up. Okay, on the upper left table, I took a stab at it because I was the pre-flop raiser and have a gut shot and overcard, so nothing too bad there. And on the bottom left, the pocket nines, when checked to, I just again took a stab at it and took it down. So now that I'm just going to check it down now that I hit a queen, and it ends up being good. Here on the upper right, I hit an ace, so it's kind of an awkward spot because this guy's betting out and the other guy's raising. So I just want to keep the pot small and definitely just get the showdown as cheaply as possible there. So I'm just going to call the $2 bet. Okay, and with the ace 10 suited, I'm just going to c-bet there again, take it down. Now that he's put in a large raise, I don't think my hand is good here very often, so I'm just going to let it go. Okay, here with the queen 5, I'm getting very good odds to call the min raise, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Okay, and it's a real good flop for me with a pair and the flush draw, so I'm going to put in a raise here. Okay, and he decides to call there, so you know, now he's min betting here, so I think he's got a pretty marginal holding. Um, you know, I am going to raise though again there just to put pressure on him, and if the flush doesn't come in on the river, I can still bet and take it down. Now that I've made two pair though, a pretty good two pair as well. You know, I think I have the best hand here, so I'm going to push my opponent all in. With pocket aces here, I'm going to go ahead and 3 bets. Okay, and I get called there. It's not a real good flop for pocket aces, but I am going to go ahead and c-bet because he's a tight player, and so I'm putting him on a hand like jacks or queens or tens, something like that. And you know, I'm going to go ahead and call this now. And he ends up having nines, so that's obviously good for me, and it holds up. Okay, so here we get donked into with ace jack on the upper left table. So I'm going to go ahead and raise this now. You know, I don't think this is a real strong play. He basically has to have a set of sixes or tens there to have a very strong hand. Maybe ace 10 or ace 6. But now that the guy on my left calls, you know, I think he actually has a very strong hand here to overcall when there's a big donk bet and a raise as well. His hand looks very strong here. So, you know, at this point, with him making a big river bet now, you know, there were no draws out there, so you know, I really think he has me beat there, so I'm just going to let it go. Okay, and here with the ace queen, I'm going to go ahead and bet here. Okay, and pocket jacks, I'm just going to make my standard open. Occasionally the software doesn't change my bet amount to 5, so occasionally you'll see me min raise, but I'm not doing it on purpose just because the software didn't change it to $5. Okay, so again I get donk bet into here, and he's got a short stack, so I'm just going to shove them all in. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open the queen 8 of clubs there from middle position. Okay, we hit an 8 on the flop. I'm going to go for some pot control here and also try and induce some bluffs from my opponent on the turn. So I'm just going to flat call here, and it was a good turn card for me. So, and I'm folding the pocket 5s there to 3 bets. All right, again, you know, he still has all of his bluffs in his range, so I'm going to look him up. And he was completely he had an air ball there, so that's the nice thing about taking that line, especially against weaker opponents when you have a marginal hand like that. Okay, so I've hit my king with a king 10 up there and just bet and take it down. Okay, so I'm just making a standard steal attempt there with king 10 suited. Okay, same thing here with king 10 in late position. With the ace king, I'm just obviously raising from early position. Okay, I get 3 bet here with king 10, so I'm just going to let it go. Okay, with pocket jacks and this guy raising in early position, I'm just going to flat call. And if it's a good flop with him having a short stack, I'm just going to go ahead and go all the way with it. But unfortunately, this is a bad flop for pocket jacks, so he does end up checking though. So I'm just going to check and see what the turn brings. And I hit a set, so that's always nice. You know, with him checking twice, I'm going to go ahead and pause this because we got a few hands going on here. Okay, first, with him checking twice, he probably doesn't have much here, but I am going to bet to protect my hand against potential gut shot if he has a king or a 10. On the table in the upper right, for now I'm going to call these table 1 is in the upper left, table 2 is upper right, table 3 bottom left, and table 4 bottom right. So on table 2, I made the C bet and got called, and turn was a very good card for me, bringing me a flush draw and an open end or straight draw, so I continue betting. And now on the river I make my flush. It does pair the board, so he could potentially have a full house, but when he checks here I am going to go for a value bet. Okay, and with the queen jack here, my steal attempt on the table 3, I'm just going to go ahead and let that one go. And especially with the 4 bet there, cold 4 bet. Okay, unfortunately I don't get paid off with the flush, but you know, it's you know, I'm not sure what he had there, where he would check call the flop, check call the turn, and then fold the river. Maybe he had a heart flush draw. Alright, well, anyways, here, so I'm 3-betting the pocket kings, and this is a pretty interesting hand, because we are deeper stack, we are, you know, so here, you know, in this spot, he's min raising me here, so he could very well have a set of queens or jacks. So I just want to call and you know, try and keep this pot small at this point, and you know, I'm out of position here, so I don't really want to play a big pot at this point, especially being deeper stacked here. So the turn is a good card for me. It brings me an open end or straight draw, plus he could potentially think I have ace king, because I have 2 kings here. It makes it much less likely that he has ace king, and since I 3-bet pre-flop, you know, that ace king is going to be part of my range there. So he checks behind. So you know, at this point it's a big pot, and if I check to him, he could bet a very large amount and push me off this hand, especially with the now that there's a potential flush out there. So in this spot I go for a river, kind of a blocking bet slash value bet, small value bet, and you know, it's the reason being is I want to get information from him. If he raises this, I can be pretty certain that I'm beat, but if he just flat calls, then obviously most likely I'm going to have the best hand, so it's a value bet in that situation. But then if he just has nothing, he's very unlikely to raise this as a bluff, because I could have a very big hand here. And I do make these small bets like this on the river sometimes with big hands, to try and induce a bluff from players, and it actually works quite often. They some players who are capable of raising blocking bets here on the river get owned sometimes when I do that, and I have the nuts. Okay, on the bottom left, table 3, I was just trying to take the pot down after being the other players showing some passive play. And I did turn the second nut flush draw as well as a gut shot and an overcard. So I took a stab at it, and he min raised me. So I'm just calling there then to try and hit my hand, and unfortunately I don't. So I just give up on the river. Okay, I'm just going to complete there from the small blind with ace jack. And I'm going to go ahead and limp behind the limper with pocket fours there. In cash games, is the same as in other sit and goes and tournaments. I don't like to limp as the first player into the pot, but I will limp behind limpers. Okay, I'm making a isolation play there with the 5-4 suited. I'm just going to fold the 8-10 there to the 3-bet. And after isolating, this ace high flop is a good flop to just try and take it down. So I'm going to make a c-bet here. Okay, just making a steal attempt here with 8-6 offsuit. Okay, I'm just going to flat call here with the ace-queen suited in position. Okay, and with the pocket fives, I just made a raise from middle position with them. I'm going to c-bet this ace-high flop and take it down. Okay, on the table 4 I have a flush draw, and I'm going to lead out with it. Okay, and this guy raises me, so my plan at this point is to call this bet and then lead the turn as well. And if he raises me on the turn, I'm going to have to give it up though. Okay, so I make my flush. So now I'm just going to go for a value bet. I'm defending King Jack suited to the late position raise there. I flop an open ender. So on this one I'm going to go for a check raise, I believe. Yep. And he calls, so you know, I don't think he's calling with nothing. He does have something here, but the turn, you know, it didn't pair the board or anything, so it wasn't too scary of a card for me, so I'm going to continue with my aggression. And if he has a marginal hand like a Jack 10 or something like that, he would probably give it up there. So now, since he's called me twice, I think he has a queen or maybe even a set of threes, so I'm just going to give it up. He does have a queen, so I wouldn't have been able to get him off that hand on the river unless I potentially shove all in, and he still may call me there. Okay, so let's pause real quick. So with this ace-3, it was a limp pot. We have a min bet and then a 4x raise. So the guy who's raising 4x probably has a decent hand. I can't really put him on ace-queen because he would raise pre-flop with that most likely. A set of threes is very unlikely because I have the 3, and a set of aces and a set of queens are very unlikely. So I probably have the best hand at this point, and I want to get value from weaker aces like ace jack or ace 10 and not give them the chance to suck out on me. So I'm going to put in a raise here, and we'll see what he does. Okay, he ends up folding, which is fine also. He could have just been bluffing there. Okay, I'm going to raise the Queen 7 offsuit there in late position. and I'll complete from the small blind with the 6-5. Excuse me, guys. Okay, ace king in early position. I'm going to raise that up to 5. And here, blind on blind, I'm just going to call with the queen jack. Okay, so we flop an open ender. I'm going to, in this spot, I'm going to put in a raise because he's going to be c-betting that flop like probably 100% of the time. Okay, and he does fold, and I take it down with queen high. And jack 7, I steal the blinds there on the table 4. Okay, so gonna make a c-bet on table 1, and I flop an ace on table 2, and I'm gonna check it back just to exercise some pot control and induce bluffs for my opponent. So that's the plan. And so on table 1 we get check raise, so I'm gonna fold that. On table 3 we have a bet and a raise with ace king here. I'm just gonna go with my hand against the short stack, and unfortunately he ends up folding. So let's look at this hand again. Okay, so the guy that we're in the hand with is a very loose player, to say the least. If you can see his stats there, he's obviously probably not a winning player. But and especially as you'll see the hand that he shows up here with, so he let out for a very small amount on this flop, got raised by the guy next to him, and I re-raised on top of that, and so he flat called there, and now he's min betting here. So when weaker players do this, they typically have a draw, like a spade draw, or if he has 8-9 for an open ender. So I have to think that I have the best hand at this point, so I want to put in a big raise. Okay, pocket aces, I'm just going to raise that up, and I'll fold the queen jack there from middle position. Okay, so the river, it looks pretty safe to me, and he checks again, so I really have to think that I have the best hand. And if he has a weaker ace like an ace jack, I want to get value, but he ends up having the king 7 offsuit. So he played it very weird, but he got me on that one. So okay, and the same exact player is now on table 1, and I made an isolation play on him because obviously we just saw he's not the greatest player in the world. So he's now leading into me on this flop. It's an ace high flop, and I do have a gut shot as well as the backdoor flush draw, but I think that I can represent this flop better than he can and potentially take it away from him on later streets. So I'm going to continue with my position here and call him and see what he does on the turn. And we end up making our straight on the turn. It does bring the third heart though, so he may be scared of the hearts, or he may have hearts himself. So with me having the king of hearts, I'm willing to play this hand all the way, especially after we just saw how he played the last hand. He ends up folding though, which is unfortunate, that he wouldn't continue any further there, but you know, we won a decent pot there back from him. Okay, and that's kind of what I mean about with the rush pokers. You'll see some very weak play in these games, and it's kind of like how it used to be like 3 or 4 years ago, around when I first started playing. The cash games were much weaker than they are today, uh, and it's nice because you can make pretty good money playing in these. So here with the ace king, I just flat called out of position, and now that I've hit top pair with top kicker, I'm going to put in a check raise here. And he ends up folding, so that's a fine result. On the table 3, I raised and just c-bet and take it down. Okay. And for those of you that like the way my HUD looks here for cash games, you can. Uh, it's slightly different than the one from my tournament or sit and goes. So if you like that, you can email me at pimpandonks@gmail.com, and it can be yours for $5. You do have to have Poker Tracker 3 already installed. Some people have been emailing me about here with Pocket Kings. I'm just gonna call obviously there. Um, yeah, I'm not selling Poker Tracker 3 or anything like that. I just am selling the HUD that you see already pre-installed for you for $5. You just put it in your Poker Tracker, and you'll have the same exact one. Okay, so on table 2, I checked with my 8 there and end up making trip 8s on the turn. The problem is this guy is leading in out into us, so he could have a better 8 here potentially. So I don't want to raise at this point. I want to, if he's bluffing, give him the chance to continue bluffing, and maybe even get value on the river from a king or a 5. So that's what ends up happening. He checks, and I bet, and he just folds though. So he may have been bluffing or just had a flush draw. Okay, so with the ace queen, I'm just raising that up from early position. Alright, and you guys can see I try to fold my hands as quickly as possible if I know I'm going to fold ahead of time, just to get in as many hands as possible. And I really try to play about 1,000 hands an hour when I'm playing this. Sometimes I get up to around 1,100, sometimes only like 950, but it averages out to about 1,000. So it's works out pretty well. You know, to play this amount, just playing regular tables, you'd probably have to play about 14 or 15 tables, full ring, to be able to play 1,000 hands an hour. So it's better because you can focus on all the tables and all the action. So I think it's a good deal. Alright, so here I'm 3-betting this late position raiser again as a bluff. I've hit a pair, and it's also a king high flop, so it's a good flop to c-bet in a three bet pot. So I am going to go ahead and c-bet here. Okay, and he calls here, so you know, I could have the best hand at this point, but I kind of want to get the showdown. With me having middle pair here, I don't want to play a big pot with it. And on the bottom right, you can see I'm just 3-betting pocket aces. Another king comes on the river, so you know I very well could have the best hand at this point, but I would just want to show it down. So I'm just going to check again. And on the table 3, he ends up having pocket tens though, so that one doesn't work out in my favor. Okay, after he's checked twice with the pocket fours there, you know, I could potentially take a stab there, but I'm just going to check it down. I do have some showdown value, so I'm just going to show it down. Pocket sixes end up taking it though. Okay, so with the ace jack here, this is a pretty decent flop to go ahead and bet. So I'm going to take a stab at it. And that one ends up working out. Okay, I'm going to raise the 7-9 suited here. Okay, so I flop an open-ender, and it's also a pretty decent board to c-bet. He ends up donking into me though, so you know I could raise here or just flat call. I'm going to go for the raise though, to try and take it down here, and also potentially get a free card on the turn. And you know, turn's good for me. It brings me a flush draw, but I'm going to go ahead and take my free card. Part of the reason I raised on the flop was to get that free card, and so I'm going to go ahead and take it. Obviously I missed, so I think I just pretty much have to give up at this point if he bets. Okay, so pocket fives and fours I'm raising there. The ace queen on the button I'm going to go ahead and raise as well. Okay, this is let's talk about this hand with the pocket fives. Okay, so my play here is you know, this is a good board to c-bet, but against a weaker opponent like this, when you bet this type of board, they usually call you like the majority of the time I've found. So by check calling and then leading the turn, I think you get your weaker opponents to play their hand more honestly against you. So that's what I go for here, and you know, I end up leading the turn here, and what I said ends up happening. He plays his hand honestly and just folds. So by betting the flop, you get floated a lot or raised as the bluff against those type of players. So by check calling and then leading the turn, I think you get them to play their hand more honestly. When they have nothing, they're just going to give it up. And that's only against the weaker fish type players. Okay, so I'm making isolation raise with pocket queens. Here I've hit top pair. Now I have the nut flush draw. The problem is the king came, and he very well could have queen king. You know, it's a difficult spot. Now on the river, again, I could go for a blocking bet, but in this instance I chose not to, and he bets big. You know, and you know, I could have the best hand here, but making hero calls like this really increases your variance, and I can find better spots to play for a big pot there. So I like to fold there and move on to the next hand. Okay, so I'm just limping behind the limper with the sixes, and raising up the ace-8 suited, and the ace-king as well on the bottom right. Okay, it's a good flop for ace-king. Okay, so let me pause it for a second because we got 3 hands going. Alright, so we've hit a set of sixes on table 1. If anyone bets on this flop, I'm just going to raise them. If they check to me, I'm going to go ahead and bet. And on table 2, I've hit a gut shot as well as overcard with the ace. So when check 2 though in this multi-way pot, I'm just going to check and take the free card. And I see bets obviously with ace king down there. Okay, I've hit my gut shot on table 2, so I'm going to make a fairly big raise here. Okay, another king comes. So, you know, he could have a king here with a weaker kicker. He could have a set as well, but with ace king here, I'm not going to fold my hand, and I want to get in more chips if he does have the king queen or king jack. And he jams, and I'm calling, and he shows pocket tens. So that's a good hand for me. And now on table 2, I'm just going to go for value bet here. He ends up calling as well with a worse hand, and I take that pot down as well. So 2 big pots there that went my way. The pocket tens hand was a little surprising that the guy stacked off there. You know, he probably didn't think I had a king because there was 2 out there, but obviously I did, and that one went my way. Now with the turn straight draw and the pair, I'm going to continue betting on table 3 and just take that one down. Okay, pocket jacks on table 1. Just going to make my standard open. And same thing here on table 4 with queen king on the button. Okay, with the real small 3 bets like this, typically you see weak players doing this. And again, let me pause the video because we got a few hands going again. Weaker players will make these small 3 bets, and they're giving you very good odds to call, so you should generally call with like almost your entire range. And then on table 3 here, we've hit a set of 5s, and I don't recall what happens in this hand, so we'll skip that one for now. But on table 2, we have the nut flush draw as well, so let's see what the action is on this. So I end up calling here with the queen king because it's not real likely that he has an ace because there's 2 out there, and I want to see what he does on the turn. If he gives up on the turn, then I most likely have the best hand. So here with this set of 5s, I end up checking, or excuse me, not a set of 5s, I just have 5-6. I'm sorry about that, guys. My bad. So I just give that one up. Okay, so with the nut flush draw here, I'm going to go ahead and raise it to either take a free card on the turn again or continue. If, like, say it's an ace, an offsuit ace, I may bet again, but I may just take the free card. Unfortunately, he ends up jamming all in on me for a very large amount. And, you know, so what hands would he do this with? You know, he may do this with a weaker flush draw, but I think that's a very small part of his range. I think he's going to have a set of 5s, 9s, or jacks the majority of the time, or even jack 9. So, you know, he will have a smaller flush draw once in a while that I have dominated, but I think the majority of the time he has a set there, and I would just be getting it in pretty bad there if he has a set. So I elect to fold. I'd only invested 14 bucks in it, so just fold it and move on to the next hand. Okay, and with pocket 9s here, I've gotten 3 bet there, so I'm just going to let that one go. Calling with those pairs out of position in 3 bet pots. Basically, you're just calling to try and hit a set because you're just going to get owned post flop when overcards come, you're not sure where you're at, you check, and if you call in those spots, it makes your life much harder. So I generally just fold those small and medium pairs in spots like that, and you can find better spots to win your opponent's chips. So again, same thing here with the pocket nines. It's a different story if you're in position and it's a 3-bet pot, because then you can, when you do hit your set, you'll win your opponent's entire stack more often because you're in position. But then as well, you can steal it away sometimes easier because your opponent has to act before you. Okay, so here with the ace king, I just make a c-bet and get called. And on the upper table, I raised 10-9 suited from early position and hit a great flop for that hand and just c-bet. Okay, it wasn't a real great turn card on table 1, so I just checked it back, and he makes a very large river bet. So it's tough for ace king to be good there, because if he has a jack, he has a straight, he could have 2 pair very easily on that flop. So it's a spot where, again, calling there, I'm not going to be good very often, and it's going to increase variance as well. Okay, so with pocket kings on the button here, I'm just going to make an open. Okay, so pocket queens in early position, so standard raise. Okay, ace 10 there in the small blind. That's a type of spot that probably will get some people into trouble when there's a raise from early or middle position. Ace 10 looks like a pretty good hand, but against most players' ranges, it's going to be dominated, and it will get you into trouble. Here I'm making a 3-bet with jack 10 against a late position raiser again, and I've hit trip 10s on an ace high board, so I'm just going to bet and hope that he has an ace. Alright, the turn is another club, and I do have the jack of clubs as well, so I'm going to go ahead and continue betting, and as you can see, I have 3 bets, 6-5 suited there as well, and get 4 bets, so I'm going to let this one go. And then on table 1, I've been betting, and now he's putting out a big river bet as well, and king jack got there. He could have had a queen as well. I wasn't paying attention to that hand, sorry guys. So yeah, I was wrong about that hand. He was chasing the flush and ended up hitting the ace there as well, and I figured he was chasing the flush, so that's why I looked him up on the river. He obviously had the ace of hearts there and hit an ace and got paid off by me. Okay, so with king 10 there on the button, I just make a standard raise, and with the pocket jacks on table 2, I make a isolation play and just take it down pre-flop. Okay, and here with the pocket 4s, I just give up with it. Okay, so I've raised king 6 offsuit on the button there, and I'm not going to win this pot basically if I just check, so I make a c-bet and take it down. Okay, again I'm 3-betting 9-8 suited in the small blind against a late position raiser and just take it down. Okay, so I flopped the nut flush draw. The problem with this one though is that the ace is out there, so you know, getting it all in this spot is not good, because if you run into the ace, you're basically just chasing the flush. So in this spot, I like to just call on the flop and try and keep the pot small, as well as you know, in this spot you can lead at the turn and take it down a lot if they don't have anything, but when he raises me here, I'm pretty sure I'm beat and would just be chasing the flush and might not get paid off if I do hit it, so I just let it go. So with aces here, I 3-bet pre-flop, and it's a decent flop for pocket aces, with it being king high flop, and I just c-bet and take it down. Occasionally in the 3-bet pot there with the king high board with pocket ace, I would check there just to try and induce action from my opponent. But in that particular case, I just c-bet it and took it down. Okay, so here I've raised Jack 10 on table 2, and it's, you know, not a bad board for me to for Jack 10 with me having the gut shot, but I've elected to just check it, and now with me rivering the Jack, I'm going to go for a value bet. Okay, so I've hit trip queens on table 3, and I'm just going to go ahead and bet though, because most people don't bet when they hit trip queens there, at least most mediocre players don't, so I want to obviously bet there to try and build a pot bigger. Okay, so with ace king here, I'm just going to call on the flop here, and the reason being is I want to keep his bluffs in. If he does have a big hand like ace 8 or pocket 2s or pocket 8s, I want to keep the pot small, and I want him to continue bluffing if he's bluffing. So there's a lot of advantages to it, and he's bet this entire way, so you know, I definitely don't think raising is good here. And let me pause here for a second, because there's a few hands going. So table 4 we're talking about with the ace king. Raising here is not good because a backdoor flush did come in. He could potentially have been betting with an 8. He could have a set of deuces as well. So there's raising here, I don't think is definitely not an option. Just flat calling. The only thing you can really beat at this point with him doing this is a bluff and weaker aces. So definitely just going to call here. Table 2, I c-bet here and he's raising me, so I'm just going to jam it in. And then on table 1, we get 3-bet by a player who 3-bets a lot, so I'm just going to go ahead and 4-bet, get it all in there. And so we get it in good with the kings there, and it holds up. And the ace king, the other guy ended up having ace queen as well, I believe. So you know, I'm kind of surprised on how he played that, but he really couldn't put us on ace king, because most people would raise ace king there. And here you can see I'm just donk betting the ace 7 here, just as a random bluff. I do hit the ace, so now that I have showdown value plus a weak flush draw, I just kind of want to take that and get the showdown cheaply. He makes a bet here, so I'm just going to call. The river is not a great river card for me. I do make a flush, but he very well could have picked up a flush as well. But if I check to him here, he is going to bluff, I think, a high percentage of the time. So, you know, it's kind of a awkward spot, but he has bets, you know, just slightly over half the pot, so I'm even going to look him up here. He ends up having king jack with the king of hearts, so he got there on the river. He had me on the flop though, and when I donk bet, and then I had him on the turn, and then he had me again on the river, so it traded a few times there. Okay, with pocket 8s there on the button, I'm just going to make a standard raise there. Nothing fancy. and just take it down. Okay, so with sixes here, I'm just going to call in position against the early position raiser and a caller, and look to try and hit a set. Okay, on table 2 I flopped an open-ender, so I think betting here is a good option, but checking is fine as well once in a while. This time I chose to check and keep the pot small. Now that I've made the straight on the river, I'm just going to go for a value bet. Okay, and I do get paid off there, because one of the reasons I get paid off there is because I did check the flop, and so it's hard for him to put me on queen 10, because most people would bet that flop with queen 10. But mixing up your play once in a while, and most of the time I would bet there with queen 10 as well, but mixing up your play once in a while, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, with pocket sevens here, you know, it's a awkward spot because he's betting into two players, but you know, I'm gonna have the best hand the majority, not the, but a high percentage of the time. So I do make the call, and I get overcalled though, so that worries me a bit. With him potentially having a 3 or a 9, obviously beats me, and the overcaller now leads out big. There were no draws out there on the flop, so we know he's not drawing. So it's most likely that he has us beat. So I think folding is the best option on table 1. If he had a marginal hand like pocket 5s or 4s or something like that, he most likely would have checked again or bet very small. But since he made a large river bet, it looked like he was trying to get paid off big, and so I decided to fold there. Okay, on table 3, I've hit middle pair and c-bet it, and got called. Now he is donk betting the turn, so I'm just going to call here and see what he does on the river. Okay, he checks the river. I don't really think I'm going to get paid off by much worse, so I like to just check it back and end up having the best hand. He just had a complete bluff with king jack there. Alright, so I'm just going to flat call with the ace queen there in position, and obviously I raised the pocket aces there. Okay, so you know, in the pocket 4s hand, I'm just c-betting there as well. I'm going to continue betting here with the pocket aces. Or excuse me, let me pause it. I check here because I noticed that one of the stats I use on the HUD is the flop percentage, and this guy has a high float percentage, so that means he's looking to call and take pots away from opponents in position. So to counteract that, I'm going to go for a check raise here on the turn. Okay, on table 1 with the pocket 10s, I get 3 bet, and on table 2 we have pocket kings, so we're just going to raise that up. Okay, so alright, I called with the pocket 10s because I was getting pretty good odds, and pocket 10s is about the cutoff hand that I would go with here, and we've hit top set. So this guy has a low 3-bet percentage, so it's more likely that he has a big pair like aces or kings or queens. So actually in this spot, I'm going to lead out and hope that he raises me, and if he raises me, I know he has a big pair and I can stack them. With the pocket kings, I just am making a 3-bet against a somewhat of a weaker player. He 4-bets, you know, so it's a tough spot because he is going to have aces here some of the time, but he's also going to have queens and jacks, especially with him being a weaker player. Maybe even ace king. So I'm just going to go with my hand and get it in with pocket kings and end up running into aces. It's typically it's not typically a good idea to ever really fold pocket kings pre-flop. You have to have a very, 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 very strong read on your opponent that he only has pocket aces in this example. And I have done it a few times, but usually if you start folding pocket kings pre-flop, it's just going to cost you money, because there'll be times when someone's playing a hand that looks like pocket aces, but it's really just queens or jacks or ace king, and you would have got it in as a big favorite, and it will just end up costing you money in the long run. So with pocket kings, I usually just go with it pre-flop, and if you run into aces, so be it. It happens. Okay, so on the table 4, interesting spot. Again, we have a person who likes to steal a lot, so I 3-bet him with Jack 10 here, and we've hit middle pair plus a gut shot, straight draw. So I don't want to play a big pot at this point, so I'm just going to go ahead and flat call. Okay, so the turn is even more interesting. We've hit 2 pair now, and we also have the flush draw. So we have a pretty good hand, but he could have a straight here with a queen. He could have potentially even a flush, so I still don't really want to play a big pot at this point, because he has shown some strength in this hand by just leading out on the flop. So with his river bet here, raising here I think would be a mistake again, because it's hard to get paid off by a worse hand, and he ends up having just a king. So got kind of lucky there to hit the 2 pair, but his big mistake I think in that hand was calling the 3-bet out of position with king 7. That's not a play I would have made. A hand like king 7 has high reverse implied odds, meaning when you do hit your king like that, and you're playing against someone who's 3-bet or showing aggression, they're going to have a king that has a better kicker if they're willing to play a big pot with you like every single time. Ace king, king queen, pocket aces, hands like that. So it has high reverse implied odds with those low kickers like that. And to play it out of position is obviously not going to be profitable over the long run. Okay, so this is on table 3 with ace king here. It's a pretty good squeeze spot, and so I'm going to go ahead and go for it. And with the pocket 10s, I'm going to raise it up out of position to try and get it either heads up or just take it down pre-flop. Okay, with the Jack 8, you'll notice now we're very deep stacked on table 3, so these are the types of hands that you can win your opponent's entire stack with when they have a big hand as well, like aces or kings. So here I'm floating to basically take it away from him if he checks on the turn, or if I do hit my gut shot, obviously I can win a very big pot from him if that is the case, if he does have a big pair. Alright, so now I've hit a top pair as well, so I'm definitely not folding. He does bet again though, so I'm just going to call. And I end up hitting my gut shot on the river, and he bets pretty big here, so I've got to assume that he has a pretty strong hand as well. The only way he could have me beat here is if he has queen 8, and I really don't think he has queen 8 here. So I am definitely going to put in a raise here, and since I think he has a big hand as well, I want to make it a big raise. Okay, and the Jack 10 here, I'm just raising blind on blind. Okay, with the ace queen, I'm making an isolation raise, and with the pocket aces on table 4, I'm just going to go ahead and 3-bet that out of position. Okay, table 2, the guy ends up folding. With how long he took, I know he had a strong hand, but he didn't pay it off, so I may have bet slightly too big there, but you know, when you think your opponent has a strong hand, you should usually bet big when you have them beat, for sure, like that, because they don't have to pay you off very often for it to be more profitable than betting small. Even if they just pay you off, you know, a slightly smaller percentage of the time, it's going to add up to more money over the long run. So here with king queen suited, you know, sometimes I would fold there. This time I elect to call because the guy is raising from an early position, so it is going to be dominated some of the time. Okay, he checks this board, and you know, it's a spot where I probably should have actually bet there, because the other guy in the hand basically has to have a jack or maybe like a pair of tens to a pair of eights to want to continue. So yeah, that's a spot where I could have bet and potentially taken it down. And here with 7-5 suited, I'm just going to raise that on the button and take that, take the blinds down. Okay, after a raise and a re-raise, I'm just going to fold the pocket nines there as happy hour starts. And that's another thing with this rush poker. You will get even more donks than usual during happy hour because they want to just play to make the extra points to get something in the store, whatever they're shooting for. So they log on and get double points, and you know, it's a good time to play because there's more donks than usual, and you yourself get double points as well, which is a nice little bonus as well. Okay, so here we flop an open ender. It's a multi-way pot on table 4, so I'm just going to flat call, and you know, I could raise there, but this time I elect to just flat call in position. And now that I've hit top pair as well, you know, I kind of want to keep my opponent's bluffs in, so I just check behind there, and now that we're at the river, I'm just going to go for a value bet since he's checked the entire way. Okay, and I believe he does end up paying me off there as well. So by checking the turn, you don't put as much fear into your opponent by betting the turn, because then they know they're probably going to face a river bet as well. So you're more likely to get paid off in marginal situations like that when your opponent has a marginal hand. And I believe I looked up what hand he had. He ended up having ace-10, I believe. So he had a pair of tens on the flop. Okay, so again on table 4, we end up getting min 3 bets by a donk. So I'm just going to call here with, you know, my entire range, and we flop a gut shot, and you know, it's a good spot to, I think, go for a float out of position, call here, and then see if he checks through on the turn. Then I can obviously bet the river and take it away from him. But he does continue betting here, and I do have an open end straight draw now, but I don't have many clean outs because the spades are out there. So you know, if a spade comes, obviously it's going to be 4 spades out there, and so I don't have a lot of clean outs there, and I'm out of position, so I just select to fold there. Okay, with the 10-8 here, I'm going to go for a check raise. I called him in a multi-way pot out of the big blind because of the odds I was getting, and you know, it's the type of flop that I want to try and represent a draw. So I'm going to make a big check raise, and hopefully he'll think that I have a draw if he has an overpair like aces or kings, and will stack off with me. Unfortunately, he just folds, and I just take that down, which is always a good result though. Okay, so I'm just raising the kings up. Here again, I'm getting good odds in the big blind on table 4 to call with the queen jack, so I do call. And on table 2, I raised the suited connector in late position, and you know, now this player is donk betting into me. You know, I could try and take this away because I can represent bigger pairs than him, but it's the type of spot where I'm going to have to fire multiple barrels to get him off his hand, like his pocket 7s or 8s, or whatever he called with there. Um, and he could even potentially have a 4 as well and be donk betting, thinking I might have a big pair there. So it's a marginal spot, and the pot was small, so I just elected to give it up there. Okay, so here with a pair of 4s, I'm going to call in position, getting good set odds. Okay, this guy, this bet looks really weak, so I'm going to go ahead and raise here. And unfortunately, the other guy in the hand must have a strong hand, so I'm going to have to fold now. Okay, so we get 3-bet with a pair of queens there. Since I'm in late position, he's going to have a wide range here, so I'm definitely going with his hand against the short stack. Just going to jam it in, and he ends up calling with ace-king, and so it's a coin flip. And unfortunately, I don't win it. Okay, and the pair of 10s up here, we get donk bet into. So we have an open-ended straight draw, so we're just going to raise here with the overpair and the open-ender. Okay, and I'm raising the suited connector here from middle position on table 4. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and c-bet here on table 4. And we get check raised here, and I think for a moment about what hands is he doing this with. He can't have aces or queens pre-flop there. He basically has to have ace-queen to have, to want to play a big pot here. So I tried to go for a float on him, but he continues betting big. So it makes me think that he does actually have ace-queen here, or maybe a real good flush draw like king-jack of clubs, something like that. But obviously my pair of 6s there can't stand much heat, so I just fold. If he would have checked to me on the turn, I would have bet there to try and take it away from him. Okay, and I'm raising the suited ace-deuce on table 1. And I'm just going to call with the ace-jack suited on the button there, and get 3-bet on table 2, so I'm just going to let that one go. Okay, so with aces on table 1, just raise that up, and the ace 4 on table 2. You can see on table 2 and 4 we built up a decent stack on both pretty quickly in about an hour's time, and you know, playing deeper stack, you got to play a big pot deep stack, you really have to have a very strong hand, and so you got to be more careful because there are some good players in these games that are very good deep stack players, and you know, another thing you can do if you're not comfortable playing that deep stack is once you double up is you just exit out of the rush and then jump right back in, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. You can do that as many times as you want in these games. Okay, so with the ace queen on table 3, I'm just going to go ahead and bet. And on table 2 with the ace king, again, I'm attempting to float my opponent with the gut shot and the 2 overcards. When he checks here, you know, I think I'm gonna have the best hand a lot of the time, and I do have showdown equity with ace king, so I'm just gonna take it and go to showdown. He ends up having deuces though, so he takes it. Okay, it looks like 3-bet went bad on table 4 there. Got 4-bet and just had to fold. Okay, so with pocket jacks, I want to raise it, 3-bet it up against the short stack, but a small amount in case someone behind me has a bigger hand, and get it in against this guy as a big favorite. End up spiking quads on the flop, so that's always seals the deal. Okay, so with 10s in middle position there, I'm just going to raise it up as the first to enter the pot. Okay, you know, this looks like a good flop for pocket 10, so I'm just going to c-bet it. Okay, and this guy jams all in as a short stack, and he ends up having the 9, so there's a bit of a cooler there. Okay, and on table 4 we've got into a spot with ace on the river. We have trip aces, you know, but he leads into us, so it's a spot where, again, if I raise here, I can't really expect to get paid off by much of a worse hand, so I'm just going to flat call, and he ends up having a 10 there. He did have 2 pair on the flop, but he got counterfeited on the river. Okay, so I'm gonna go set mining with pocket 8s here on the button on table 4. Okay, it's not a good flop for 8, so I'm just going to let it go. The queen jack on table 1, it's a late position raise, and I have a decent playable hand, getting good odds in a multi-way pot, so I make the call. Bad flop for queen jack, so I'm just going to give it up. Okay, so we get 3-bet here with ace king. We are deep stacked again, so it's not this kind of spot where I want to just 4-bet and get it all in, because you're going to be running into bigger hands when your opponent's willing to get it all in there pre-flop. So I elect to just make the call and look to get value out of jacks and queens when I do hit an ace or a king on the flop. Unfortunately, one doesn't come that time, so I just check fold. Okay, so I raised up pocket fives on table 3 in early position, and it's a decent board to see bet, so I go for it and take it down. Again, the min 3 bet on table 1, so I just call. It's not a great flop for Jack 10, so I'm just going to give it up. As a side note, you guys can, if you want to check out, I'm going to have some videos about rush sit and go tournaments as well, so check those out when you get a chance. Okay, so with ace queen on the bottom table, I raise pre-flop, and this is not a great board to continue on against a short stack, so I just check fold. Alright, beautiful flop for me on table 3, and unfortunately don't get no action. Okay, with pocket 3s here, the reason I'm calling out of position like this is because we are 300 big blinds deep, so I want to, if I do hit my set, I could win a very large pot here. So that's kind of something you want to look to do when you're deeper stacked, is set mine a little more often against players who you think may have a big pair. Okay, so I missed it, so I'm just going to check fold it though. Alright, on table 1, I'm betting again on the turn and take it down. On table 3, this isn't a bad board for pocket 8s, and it's likely to have missed my opponent who raised from late position, so I'm going to go for a check raise and look to take this down here on the flop. And he does fold, so that's a good result. Alright, here on table 1 with the queen 6, I'm making a non-standard play because of my read on the opponent is he's trying to isolate a weaker player from late position, so he's going to have a weak hand himself a lot of the time there. So with the queen 6, I'm just looking to 3-bet him and take it down pre-flop, and it works out. Okay, so with deuces here, I'm just going to limp behind and look to see a cheap flop. Okay, I'm just going to check on the flop, and now on table 3 with pocket 5s with a raise and a re-raise, I just let it go. Okay, with the ace-10 in the big blind there, I am going to defend it against a late position raise. And I do hit the ace, so I'm definitely not folding at this point. I'm going to check call and see what happens on the turn. I do hit a 10, and I was going to go for a check raise there, Unfortunately, my opponent checked behind, so it puts me in a difficult spot when the fourth club comes on the river. Uh, Again, this is a spot where I'm going for a small river value slash blocking bet, and he does raise me, so I'm going to have to give it up that time. Okay, again, I get min 3 bets on table 1 with pocket 4s. I flop an open ender, so it's a spot where, again, I'm going to go for, I could check raise here, but I'm just going to check call and then lead the turn if it's a good turn card. And that is a good turn card. If he has ace king or ace queen, he's just going to give it up here when I bet. But if he calls or raises, then I can be pretty sure I'm beat, especially against a weak player. Alright, he does raise, so I can be fairly certain that he has a bigger pair than me. So I'm just going to give it up, knowing that with him 3-betting from early position and now doing this, he's got me beat. On table 2, I make an interesting play, just flat calling with kings. Once in a while I will do that with kings and aces just to mix up my play. And the nice thing about that is your opponent can't put you on the big pair then, and also if someone 3-bets behind you, they won't be able to either. In this case, the ace flops, of course, when we try to make this play. I do call on the flop though, because I could still have the best hand very easily if neither player has an ace. But when the other player calls as well, I'm pretty much just going to be done with the hand. Okay, so on table 3 we open from late position with a pair of 5s. Okay, Jack 9 suited. I just take the blinds there on table 4. Okay, so on table 3 I like to check back this flop just to, again, with a medium strength hand like this, I just want to get to showdown. Here I do have flush outs and straight outs, so I just call, and I very well could have the best hand there as well. He bets again though on this river, so there's not a lot of hands I can beat other than bluffs, so I like to give it up and fold. Alright guys, so that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and you can go ahead and check out some of my other rush videos. Thanks for watching.